All right, so this video is seated primal movements, which are some of my favorite practices for day-to-day health, joy, and pleasure. So primal movements are movements that we have been doing, our ancestors have been doing since we have been alive. And they are also used in almost every other animal species as well as some plant species. So they're powerful. They've been around for millions, if not billions of years, and we can always turn to them to help reset our body and our nervous system. So primal movements, we have rocking, shaking, bouncing, and I add in twisting because I think it is so powerful. And really it is something that, you can just see a baby in the womb kind of twisting around, stretching in various ways, getting all the different planes of the body worked out. So first though, we focus on rocking, bouncing, and shaking. So rocking is a side-to-side, shaking is a side-to-side motion. When we're sitting, we're most commonly going to initiate from our hips. We can also do primal movements lying down or standing. Lying down is great when you're tired, or when you are getting into a sensual or sexy time and wanting to juice things up a little bit. It's really fun to, if you have a male partner, to see them doing it as well. Doing it naked is fun, seeing all the bits flopping around. If you have a female partner, watching their breast jiggle, it's a big turn on for me, and I have a feeling it will be for you as well. So we can shake, we can move the focus up into our shoulders. And so you can see it's just kind of wiggling my whole body, activating side to side. So as we activate side to side, we're getting the side walls of our pelvis. We're getting the side walls of our organs, the side walls of our heart and our lungs. We're getting the sides of our ribs, all this side energy activated, which is an area of our body that we don't tend to focus a lot on, which is why shaking is so powerful, and I recommend it on a daily basis, at least once. If you're standing in line, just do a few seconds. If you have a few minutes in between a task, do a few minutes. Keeping your breath, keeping your core energy lightly engaged from your pelvic floor up and your girdle drawn in slightly. I'm sitting with a pillow under my hips so that I'm naturally lifted up, not rounding forward. That feels really good. All right, so then we can move on to bouncing. Bouncing is just like it sounds. We're just bouncing up and down. I'm initiating this bounce from my pelvic floor. I'm actually pushing a little bit through my legs. And this is going to get the top and bottom of our pelvic temple. It's going to work our diaphragms. So we have a diaphragm at the bottom of our pelvic temple, a diaphragm at the top, diaphragm under our lungs, and a diaphragm at our shoulders. So these horizontal planes of muscles and connective tissue that help keep things in place. As we age, often they will get weak and tight. So we want to reinvigorate them, release some tension, and help build up their strength. It's a great way to massage the heart. If you've dealt with a lot of heartbreak, or you're having difficulty breathing, it helps with the lungs. You can really strongly bounce shoulders up and down. This helps to relieve tension through the shoulders. You can draw them back and bounce. Help to relieve tension through the upper back. So bouncing is amazing. It's really powerful. And again, you can do it sitting, standing. It's a little bit harder to do laying down, but I'll show you how to do that in another video. All right, so we have rocking, we have bouncing, then we have, shaking, bouncing, and then we have rocking. So rocking is a front to back motion. I call it a humpy motion, right? You can do it like a rocking chair, nice and slow. It's a very soothing motion, one that babies tend to love, or inner child tends to like. So if we're feeling stressed out, we might do this slower rocking chair motion. Or if we want to invigorate, we can go a little faster. So I'm initiating through my pelvis. Still activating. So anytime we're doing an active movement for longer than a minute or so, you want to stop occasionally and check in with your core energy. Is it still feeling strong and lifted? Is your girdle still feeling like it can draw in? Or do you need a break? Anytime you need a break, feel free to take one. There's no pressure to do this any length of time. You can do it from a few seconds to as many minutes as you want. So if you need to take a break, go ahead and take a break. move into one of the other primal movements, do some stretching, whatever feels good. And then go back to it when you're ready. So with rocking, we can also do it more focused on the upper body. So I'm leading with my heart, getting lots of smaller flexion and extension through the vertebrae of the upper back. So sometimes when we do flexion and extension, we're really rounding forward and really extending upward. With this one, it's smaller. And this allows us to get the little tiny muscles that are in between each vertebrae called the intervertebral muscles. These little tiny muscles are often stuck in tension or spasm. And when they are, it will pull our vertebrae out of alignment repeatedly, even if we get it adjusted, even if we go to the chiropractor every day. So when we can release the tension in these little tiny muscles, our vertebrae will often naturally align. So the other thing that happens when we're doing this rocking motion is that we are massaging the front and back of our body. So the front and back of our pelvic temple, the front and back of our internal organs, our heart and our lungs, and our muscles as well. So we've gotten the sides, we've gotten the top and bottom, and the front and back. So with these 3 simple movements that we can do at any position, any time of day, we've gotten a deep release of tension all throughout our body. So it's really, really powerful. And then we can move into twisting. So twisting is simple. It can be active or passive. This is an active twist. Active seated twist. This is common in Kundalini yoga. And it's very powerful for helping to align the spine as well as to wring out our internal organs. So this is more of like, when you squeeze a sponge out or a cloth out and everything just kind of drips out. And then it can refill with our beautiful, deeply healing blood and lubricating fluids. So we're wringing out so it can refill with healing. So when we have our arms lower, we're working lower on our spine. Arms middle, we're working middle spine. And up high, we're working the upper spine. We can also do a more passive twist where we are drawing our arm overhead and placing it on the other side of our knee and pushing gently. Still keeping, in this one especially, our core energy lifted and our girdle drawn in. Inhale as you go up and exhale as you go down. You can stay in this pose for 20 seconds or longer. Notice if you're holding shoulders up high, drop them down. And then we'll go to the other side. Inhale and exhale, arcing over, hand on the outside of the knee or on the bed. And then just gently pulling on the outside of the knee to help that twist as we're engaging the core and the girdle. Okay. So those are seated primal movements for radiant health, joy, and pleasure. Please let me know if you have any questions, and if you want to find out more about primal movements or any of the Radiantly Alive practices, just let me know.